Algorand is extremely overlooked right now, and I'm going to be talking about why. But first, welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are out there new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. Overall, as we do look at Algorand right now, it is sitting at about roughly a $1.25 billion market cap, almost $1.5 billion fully diluted market cap as well. And the price is sitting right around the March of 2020 lows, right before the big bull run in 2021, where Algorand did hit well over $2.30 plus cents. Now, as we do look at Algorand, this thing is listed on pretty much every single major exchange out there. And at this current moment in time, considering the overall valuation on Algorand versus 2020 into 2021, I do think that this is extremely undervalued and also extremely overlooked right now. And when we really kind of address the chart, I feel as though you can clearly see it on this chart as well, going all the way back to 2020 and where we are at right now, and even during the 2022 and 2023 bear market, essentially. Because again, 2023 for most altcoins was still a bear market where Algorand did hit well under 10 cents. What a massive buy opportunity on Algorand if you did scoop up some algo. But overall, as we do look at this chart, it's very similar back into the 2020 timeframe, where we kind of have the same sort of pattern printed on this chart. Now I'm watching to see if we get a major expansion off of these lows, but this demand zone down here at about roughly 8 cents to 16 cents, this whole area is pretty solid for buy ops, because this goes all the way back to the March 2020 lows. And I think that if we really look at Algorand today versus 2020 and 2021, there's a lot more substance, there's a lot more building, and there's even a lot more network usage now than back in 2021. Let's talk about it though. Let's first start with these major events that are happening. So as we really look at some of the events happening around Algorand, number one is Decipher. This is happening June 26th through the 27th, and this is actually in Barcelona, and it is definitely going to be a very exciting event. If we actually go over here, we can see some of the speakers. This is actually happening in 10 days. Some very substantial, speakers here at this event. Very excited to see what comes from this, because there is a lot of great discussions in terms of the actual agenda, which we will talk about. So here we have Wednesday. Again, some great just introductions and stuff like that. We have VCs, accelerators, how to wow them, stuff like that. For the most part, what I'm actually very excited about is Thursday, which is the second day. It's the last day of this event. And it's because we are starting to see the discussions being brought up around mainstream adoption through RWA tokenization. Outside of that, we have navigating the storm in terms of regulatory compliance. Then we have DeFi, disruptors, and a few other ones as well, NFT marketplaces, stuff like that. But I'm very excited about the RWA, right? Real world asset tokenization movement happening, because again, it is one of the largest narratives in this space, but also tokenization is going to touch every single major asset class, industry, sector, you name it. I've talked about it on multiple occasions. Tokenization is absolutely insane. If you want to dominate this cycle and absolutely crush it with profits, you need to go and check out the new course that I just dropped. And the best part is that it's completely free. That's right, it's completely free. There's going to be a link down in the description below. Go and get this course right now before the market goes absolutely parabolic. Now, talking about this event, there's also been so many great hackathons and events held by Algorand. Here's one in Korea, for an example. Love to see it. Also, we have a global hackathon. This one is in Nigeria. They will be hosting daily office hours from today, June 7th, until the submission date, which was June 12th. But these are just some of the past events. Here's one in India as well, Bangalore as well. I mean, these are some pretty substantial events, and it's all around the world. And I've talked about why these events are crucial. At a time in this market where, we're starting to see, and we're starting to really kind of focus on mainstream adoption. Mainstream adoption happens from building out the community, focusing on, providing education and clarity on what these projects are doing, what they're trying to achieve, and what they're even building. And also, this is great for bringing on more developers. A lot of these hackathons that are focused on, specific projects and building and developing, like this could very well lead to some great projects going live on the network, which I'm very excited about. Now, outside of these events, we also have this one in Barcelona as well, because this is not Decipher. This is another event in Barcelona. Again, these are developer meetups. This is going to provide even more devs, builders for the network, which I am always focused on, because more builders, more developers equals, at some point in time, more projects going live on the network. Now, outside of this, guess what ended up happening just recently? Algorand, and this is why I say, if we go back in time to 2020 and 2021, Algorand did do a nice move from the lows. If we're talking about these lows in 2020 to the top of this candle, did a 26.5x, 2,651% move to the upside. If we're talking about, where we are at right now, and we're just going off of the February of 2021, candle, this would be about roughly an 11x. That's great. But I do think that this has the potential to hit its all-time high and well beyond that. We're talking about, possibly $4.50, which was almost like a 29x. It's actually a 29x, almost a 30x. That's something that is very possible, especially right now, considering the fact that if we go over here, Algorand just hit 2 billion transactions. And I know that you guys are probably going to be like, well, what about HBAR? What about Hedera? I get it, right? We love Hedera on this channel. But I do think that Algorand surpassing over 2 billion transactions is showing us that these networks are now starting to see major adoption, major use. And this is 2 billion transactions with instant finality, 0 downtime, and no forks. And this is their 5th birthday month, keeps getting better and better. Love to see it. Listen, as we really look at the network right now, we're over 2 billion transactions. Right now, transactions per second sitting at about roughly 20. I saw it hitting, over 100. There was one point in time that I saw this well over like 500 and almost hitting like 1,000. We can see the total consensus stake, 1.3 billion Algorand, which when we actually go and look at the supply is sitting at 81, almost 82% of the supply out there, 10 billion supply in total. I love the tokenomics of Algorand, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, especially considering that a very large percentage of the supply, 1.3 billion, insane, is already locked away and staked. Love to see that. Also, total accounts going all the way back to June of 2023. Guys, in 1 year, we went from almost 31 million accounts to already sitting at almost 36 million accounts. That's incredible growth. Now, also, in terms of transactions, check this out. Average transactions in the last year, 26.775. The peak transactions hit 5,777. And that was just recently. If we go back on the 1 month, average transactions, 5,700, transactions. I mean, that's crazy. Again, I remember when we just saw, just recently, HBAR, right, started to peak almost at 10,000 plus transactions per second. It's very exciting to see these networks being adopted and utilized at this amount of, at this rate, I should say. And if we look at the 7-day, again, peak almost 1,000, 125 transactions per second in the last 7 days. Last day, 55, 179 transactions per second. Like I said, I've been seeing these transactions per second hitting almost 100, 200. Sometimes it's like 500 plus. So love to see the network adoption happening, network use growing, and the account growth is definitely something to focus on, because that shows you that there is a lot more accounts coming over to Algorand. There's a lot more users of Algorand. And it's just, in my opinion, it's setting the stage for Algorand to have another great overall alt season. And in my opinion, this is going to be one of the biggest for Algorand, because you got to remember that Algorand had a launch in 2019, and it didn't really have a bull run until 2020 into 2021. Now, outside of this, I want to also focus on the ecosystem. This is the number one thing that I always focus on whenever I look at Algorand, because guys, this ecosystem continues to grow and grow. They have a ton of funding behind DeFi, almost $14 million. They have been growing their DeFi initiatives for a while. Number one project, in my opinion, Lofty. We're going to be talking about that. Art and music NFTs, almost 8 million. Gaming, almost 8.5 million. Love to see it. Oracles and bridges, 3.2. Well, it's 3 million and a quarter roughly. And down here we have infrastructure as well, almost $7 million. So the overall ecosystem is pretty substantial here. And this isn't even talking about, most of the projects that are fully live on the actual network. But I love to see the overall ecosystem and the grants working because, again, the network adoption, network growth is happening. Now, Lofty. This is one of those projects that I keep focusing on because if we go over here back to CoinMarketCap and we look at the categories, right? One of the largest categories within this space right now is the real world assets. And let me find it real quick. So real world assets, here we have it. $37.8 billion. And a lot of these projects are sitting at massive valuations. And it's crazy because I always say like some of these projects like Algorand or Hedera, they're not even labeled on here. And I wonder why. Like it doesn't make any sense because they do have some solid projects already on the network that are, working within the tokenization space. Lofty is tokenizing real estate. Real estate is a global $300 trillion plus asset class, and it continues to grow and grow and grow. And I always say like tokenization is going to start in these areas where it's extremely illiquid. It's very hard to actually transact. And tokenization of real estate is definitely the biggest one right now. And Lofty has been killing it. And you could see this, right? And I love their platform. I don't know if I shared this platform. I'm pretty sure I did include it in videos before. Their platform is so clean, so smooth. The overall UI of their app is insane. Like you can see this, right? Like if we go to, so it's going to make me verify. But if we go to the marketplace, this is what their marketplace looks like. You could see pretty much everything here. You could see available tokens, 335 at $50 plus. And you could purchase tokens. You could purchase percentage yield in some of these in some of these properties. This is why I say like this project is so overlooked. It's crazy to me. And this is just one of many properties. As you guys can see, like there's so many properties on here, as you guys see. But here you have another property, and this is just recently, like June 6th, for an example. So they continue to add more and more properties. You can invest into these properties. You could even earn stake in some of these properties. Like if you go over here to staking, for an example, here you have the properties. You have the total value lent, available 7-day APY as well. And already total value lent is roughly sitting at 1.6, almost 1.7 million. I think that this is going to grow substantially over time. Again, this is such an early on space in terms of like tokenization, but it's growing rapidly, especially with a lot of the focus coming from like the TradFi guys like BlackRock, for an example. Now, also, as we do look at Algorand, TVL sitting at about roughly $153.3 million. This has been on the uptrend. Just recently, back in, I want to say February, almost roughly $400 million got hit in terms of TVL. Right now, again, we're sitting at about roughly 153. It's normal for major pullbacks and stuff like that to happen. But Lofty is coming in at number 2 at about roughly $31.25 million in TVL. Vesta's on here as well. I haven't checked out Vesta, but I heard about it here and there. Meld Gold just recently partnered with the XRP Ledger. They're going to be bringing gold and silver over to the XRP Ledger as well, but this is also on Algorand. There's some great projects already on Algorand within the RWA sector. And if we go over here, we can see RWAs right now, TVL wise, $4.17 billion. Back in October, this hit $6.3 billion. I do believe that this is also going to bounce back in a very large way. You could see Lofty is in the top 15 at number 13. I do believe that this is going to grow substantially over time, like I said, especially with how clean their platform is. And also, as we do look at tokenized real world assets, they are soaring. Right? They did surge to a capitalization of 8 billion. I know that DeFi Llama is a little bit off when we look at this because it did surge to about roughly like 6.3. Some of the data is not fully tracked, but I do think that this is just going to continue to grow and grow and grow, especially with so much focus coming from TradFi and how big this narrative has been. Plus, you got to remember that the benefits of tokenization are 100% disruptive in the real world. I mean, when you have something like real estate being tokenized, unlocking a ton of liquidity, fractionalizing ownership in, these properties, I mean, it just unlocks a massive amount of doors of opportunity. And that's why when I say like Algorand's at the forefront of this as well, you need to be focused on Algorand, especially at a time where, like I said, as you do look at the prices on this chart, I mean, it's right at the point of 2020, the 2020 lows, and we all know what type of opportunities were there in 2020 and what they pretty much went to. And I do think that this time around, I still think Algorand is so overlooked, so undervalued, especially with everything that's happening on the network. I just don't see how more people are not looking at Algorand and saying, wow, this is absolutely crazy that it's this low in valuation. I need to be checking this out. Because again, just look at everything that I went over in this video. And if we compare that back to 2020 to 2021, there was not this much substance happening and even on Algorand at that time. So I'm very bullish on Algorand. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, though. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.